So in the last few weeks, or should I say in the last few months, there's been this raging debate over whether or not there's an active genocide against Christians in Nigeria. Now, to prove that none of that is happening, Reno Omokri,
what has happened today is that
who is a political contractor for the federal government of Nigeria,
they've met with the leadership of CAN.
made this move. Watch.
Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the Republican mayor of the U.S. city of Blanco in Texas, Mike Arnold, the political commentator, author, and social media influencer, Reno Omokri, and from our offsite studio, the prominent Texan Republican and filmmaker Jeff Gibbs. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for coming in. And let me start with you, Reno Omokri, because you're the one who brought these two very prominent gentlemen to Nigeria and into our studios. Tell us why.
Well, when Senator Ted Cruz began this tale about a Christian genocide, and Gregory Abbott, the governor of Texas, followed along with Congressman Moore, I felt it was my patriotic duty to reach out to the Republican Party and officials who have a desire to know the truth. And so I was able to get Mayor Mike Arnold, a Republican elected mayor from the state of Texas, who is personally friends with Senator Ted Cruz and Gregory Abbott, and also an associate with President Trump. And I invited him over to Nigeria for fact-finding. Not just him, I invited also a filmmaker. I wanted them to see for themselves, because Senator Ted Cruz, a lot of people in Nigeria think he doesn't mean well, but I think he means well. But the thing is, he doesn't have the right information. He's never been to Nigeria. And Congressman Moore hasn't been to Nigeria. So I invited these two gentlemen here, and before they came, they briefed Senator Ted Cruz and Congressman Chip Roy, and they're here.
Now, on the surface, it looked like a move that was well-intentioned, but it didn't take too long before Reno Omokri's real intentions began to surface.
Well, what has happened today is that these fact finders have come and they've met with the leadership of CAN. They've also met with the leadership of JNI, which is the apex Muslim or rather Islamic body. And for one, they've agreed that there's no Christian genocide. Mayor, am I right?
I'm fact-finding, Reno. I don't know the legal definition of that term, and I think it'd be premature and diminish my credibility.
I think that's a good point.
Okay, but
I think I'd diminish my credibility if I made a declaration before the fact-finding.
I mean, you've literally got to Nigeria, so you need time to sort of do your homework.
I know that there are victims on both sides.
Okay, excellent. So that's the thing. So we've been able to establish that there are victims on both sides and that these individuals are terrorists. And the point of it all is that by the end of their fact-finding mission, when they go back, when they brief the American policymakers, this whole idea of making Nigeria a country of particular concern will be squashed, will be...
So that's the ultimate aim.
That's the ultimate aim.
Okay.
So that was the first telltale sign that Reno Omokri and his employers in the federal government of Nigeria weren't necessarily interested in any fact-finding. In my opinion, they had intentionally invited men whom they thought were going to be useful idiots. And it gets worse. After their so-called fact-finding mission, which I must add took about 3 or 4 days, they reached this verdict.
The evidence is undeniable: targeted killings, mass displacement, destruction of homes and churches, denial of aid, and erasure of Christian identity. My conclusion, my formal findings: an objective expert and eyewitness, a longtime lover and traveler throughout Nigeria with access at the highest levels, based on more than 5 years of investigation, field interviews, first-hand documentation, and deep consultation with top scholars, statesmen, and legal experts, and I'm happy to introduce you to all of that. And this document has more than 15 citations. I declare this without any shadow of a doubt. The campaign of violence and displacement in northern and middle belt Nigeria does indeed constitute a calculated, current, and long-running genocide against Christian communities and other religious minorities without any reasonable doubt. To continue to deny this is to be complicit with these atrocities. I say this not in anger, but in truth and grief. My stated assignment from my host was to speak the truth, and I have done that to the best of my ability.
Obviously, that wasn't what Reno and his employers in the federal government of Nigeria were expecting. And when Reno tried to contest the findings of the mayor and his team, he was served this breakfast. Watch.
I am going to quote, not a journalist, but an authority apparently. How to identify a hypocrite. Their voice is so loud, condemning injustice against Muslims in USA, yet very silent in condemning genocide of Christians in Nigeria. And that person that said that a couple years ago was Reno Omokri, and he's multiple quotes, tweets like that. He made this a very big issue about Christian genocide in Nigeria not that long ago. And according to all the observers and all the organizations and watchdogs, they say it has not improved, that the death toll is higher. So I don't know what's dramatically changed, that he was adamantly, repeatedly calling it a Christian genocide in Nigeria. The only thing I know that's changed is the administration and his employer. So.
Sorry, employer? I don't have an employer. I think it's disrespectful to say that. I don't have an employer. However, that was under the Buhari administration. And under the Buhari administration, as you all know, I was in opposition to that administration because the president had made a statement. And that statement, and I'm going to quote that statement verbatim, where he had said that those who gave me 5% of the votes cannot be treated the same way as those who gave me 97% of the vote. And then that particular statement that you made was made after he made a statement that he will treat a particular section of this country in the language that they understand. And as a result of that, Twitter, now called X, what they did was that they deleted that post, and the Nigerian government retaliated by shutting down Twitter in Nigeria. So it was a response to that.
Did anyone notice how calm, how soft-spoken and respectful
I don't have an employer.
Reno suddenly became while responding?
I don't have an employer.
He couldn't even maintain a 2-second eye contact with the man. Turns out Reno knew what he was doing. He apparently had to be careful because the former mayor apparently has some very damaging receipts on Reno. And he wasn't playing. Now, soon after this press conference, where he had made Reno look like the fraud that he is,
I think it's disrespectful.
the former mayor then took to his Facebook page, writing this. So that was a couple of days ago. But what if I told you that as I speak, Reno still hasn't responded to everything you just heard me right there? And rather than publicly counter the former mayor, Reno quietly sent him this WhatsApp message, almost begging him to have mercy on him. Now that is as far as it goes with Reno Omokri in this story. And I'm sure many of you are not in any way surprised by these revelations. But what if I told you that even the former mayor himself isn't really as honorable as he would want his Nigerian audience to believe? What if I told you he probably was in on Reno's failed agenda until their plans collapsed? And what if I told you Arise News also had a part to play in all of this? I'm sure you would want to know. So watch out for the concluding part of this video tomorrow.